RTI in the core classroom is just a differentiation of instruction based on all of the data they have from all of their students. So everybody goes to core. Everybody has core instruction. Whether you have strategic or intensive intervention, you still go to core instruction. You don't lose any of your core instruction time. So if I may have 20 students in my class, I may have 2 that are in strategic intervention and 2 that are intensive intervention. They're all there for core instruction.
My name is Erin Sheedy, and I am the RTISS, which stands for RTI School Specialist at Churchville Elementary School in Augusta County. In order to assess progress of our students in intervention, we're looking at it at a continual basis. We're very specific for what we're looking for, where in the past everything was just broad. The child will be able to read. And now we're looking at the child will be able to read a second grade level passage at 59 words a minute or greater on 3 consecutive occasions. And we're looking for that 3 consecutive occasions more so now than we ever have before to make sure that it's a mastered skill and it's not just a one-time happening. Since having the RTI model in place, we are able to intervene much earlier than we have before. In the past, it was always, well, they're not too far behind, and it was setting them up to fail and making the gap larger. And now we have the ability to intervene as early as we see that there's a need, as early as kindergarten. We have students that are in interventions in kindergarten in order to get them to where they need to be and close that gap that tends to be created over time. Now that we have RTI in place, a lot of core instruction is focused more on individual student needs. It allows us to differentiate better in the classroom because we're giving assessments on a regular basis, and we are better at using those assessments to drive our instruction. There's the instruction that's happening in the classroom is much more focused and student-centered than it was before. In Augusta County, we use a 3-tier model as opposed to a 4-tier model, which is used in other states and other counties. The 3-tier model that we use, Tier 1 consists of our core instruction, and every child is in Tier 1, and we can differentiate to meet students' needs through core in Tier 1. When we find that the student has a greater need than what we can meet in core with differentiation is when we look at moving them to Tier 2. And Tier 2 is a strategic intervention. It's a research-based program or research-based strategies to use to help the student close the gap or fill in that deficit area that they might have. We would track their progress in Tier 2 once every other week, and we would set a goal for them. If we see that they're not making enough progress to meet their goal, then we would look at increasing the intervention, and then that's when we would move to a Tier 3, and that's an intensive intervention. And we would work on trying to see how much instruction, direct intensive instruction, that child needs in order to make the progress they need to make to close the gap.
Augusta County, we do the 3-tier system, Tier 1 being core instruction, Tier 2 being strategic intervention, and Tier 3 being intensive intervention. And it changes based on the intensity of the services and the amount of time that the child would have the intervention. We try to go tier by tier, but some students, because we're just starting the process in some of the schools, sometimes you end up in Tier 3 right away. Some of the students with disabilities, for example, may be in Tier 3 forever. And the students with disabilities are included in the whole discussion. They're as much part of the RTI and as much part of the RTI discussion as any other child. Because they have an IEP does not prevent them from being integrated in the process.
RTI looks different in every classroom because it's tailored to meet the specific needs of the kids in those classrooms. But teachers are likely to be working with just small groups of students based on a specific skill or deficit that they found in the most recent assessment. There's a lot of flexible grouping throughout grade levels so that students with like weaknesses and strengths are grouped for small periods of time to get a bigger bang for your buck.